Our interest rates have never been lower, so we can borrow on excellent terms.
The finance minister never mentioned the Liberal promise to balance the budget in 4 years. Instead, he's offering 5 years of red ink, big deficits of $29.4 billion for the coming year, $29 billion next year, then nearly $23 billion, then $17, and a $14 billion deficit for the year 2020. Plus, there is no pledge or plan to balance the budget ever.
With the growth that we hope to achieve, we believe that we can get to a balanced budget over time.
Later, Morneau said in French it might take about 5 years to get to balance if growth is good. But the main thing he said is to keep the ratio of debt to the size of the economy going down.
By the end of our first mandate, Canada's debt to GDP ratio will be lower than it is today.
Maybe, but only by a whisker. His own projections show the ratio is 31.2% today and would be 30.9% in 2020, a tiny drop of 1/3 of 1%.
I'm not seeing a long-term plan to create jobs or a long-term plan to get back to a balanced budget after they spend the money they want to spend.
The Conservatives called the spending reckless, but the NDP said it's not enough to help seniors and the needy.
I've met people who are suffering across the country in the past few months as I've traveled, so I know that there was a lot that could and should have been done. They promised to do more, and they've fallen short.
Even so, the budget does offer enhancements to EI benefits for hard-hit regions.
The government is extending employment insurance benefits in affected regions.
That went over well in Alberta.
Like Alberta, they are making strategic investments in the economy while protecting essential supports for vulnerable and working Canadians.
But it all drives the deficit higher. One caution, though, the deficit numbers may be inflated because they're based on pessimistic projections for growth and for oil prices. The Liberals may be setting the bar low so they can claim they beat expectations when they get closer to the next election. And they are also keeping some big-ticket promises from the last election. Notably, they're budgeting $11.9 billion in infrastructure spending spread over the next 5 years. Also, the promised new child benefit plan will cost $23 billion in the coming year. Only $4.5 billion of that is new money, but it's still huge.
This is a plan to help families more than any other public policy since universal health care.
Another promise kept is the $8.4 billion for First Nations. That's over 5 years, and it was warmly welcomed.
But this is, again, historic. It is a first step. Nothing is ever perfect. We got to build upon what's there.
There are also many things not in the budget. Defense spending for new fighter planes and ships is delayed to what are called future years. There's no new funding for a promised health accord with the provinces, there's nothing for a deal on pensions with Ontario, and there's no money for home mail delivery. Nothing yet for Bombardier either. Still, the big story here is the gusher of spending that is happening. All those projected deficits could add well over $100 billion to the national debt. So the Liberals had better hope they're wrong about the slow growth they're predicting. In fact, they may be counting on it.